as an exhibition.
Okay, different.
You know, and they're just, you know, they're having fun. You know, okay, and I can get with that. Like I said, I enjoy those exhibition matches when they're presented as such. You know, hey, we're out here, we're having a little fun. Having said that, get your money. You know, I won't be watching either one of those.
Either
fights.
one of those?
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
watching either one. But to answer the question, there is a thing called ring rust, and everybody gets it. You know, pro wrestling, boxing, I guess MMA, they probably call it cage rust. You know, but I think the first thing is cardio, stamina.
Cardio. Okay. All right.
I would say because you got muscle memory, so you know the muscles know how to fire, and once you get going, you know that'll come back to
But how long would it take to forget? Because for Gina Carano, I believe her last fight is 2009. Don't quote
you.
me.
Don't
on
forget
this.
how to ride a bike.
True that. True
When
that.
you're a fighter, like combos and footwork, those are things that you've done for thousands of hours.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
so it's instilled, and
Okay.
you got them. You have to shake off that ring rust. You got to get out there. You got to sweat. And they always say power is the last thing to go. You know, like
Oh,
you might lose speed, you might slow down, but you still got that
still
power.
got it.
You know,
All right.
hey, see, look how much power I got. I just knocked my watch off my wrist. You know, with age, you lose a little bit of that snap, that pop. But I think, from my experience and from what I've heard, you know, a lot of athletes say, especially as you get older, that gas tank gets a little smaller. You fatigue easier when you're out of shape. And this has happened to me a number of times. I allow myself to get out of shape from wrestling or from jiu-jitsu, and I'm smoking weed, eating pizza, and hanging out, you know, and then
And beer.
lots of beer. And then when I get back on the mat, and I'm like, lungs are burning. I'm like, and in the ring, running the ropes, and I ain't got 20 minutes in me, and you got to work up to it. Yeah, you can build it back up. You got to get in there. And again, there's no substitute for reps. You got to put the time in. You got to get the rounds in. You got to get the laps in, whatever it is. So that first thing that you'll probably notice is the cardio, stamina, and we're looking at people well into their 40s.
Yeah, man.
And hey, listen, there's anomalies. The former UFC champion, gosh, I can't think of his name now. Randy Couture, like in his 40s, he was a champion. Bernard Hopkins, that you got.
B-Hop.
You got anomalies that well into their. George Foreman came back. It can be done, and there are some people that can do it, but it's very difficult because Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, and I can't imagine the mental, like in that moment, and mentally thinking, I can't do this because of something physical going on. You lost. It's over. Something's coming to hit you real quick, man.
Yeah, and that reflexes, I think, are again, just as you get older, being able to, that head movement, and I know my knees, I've always had pretty banged up knees. I've had, my knees scoped a few times, and, sometimes just squatting down and then, putting that, yeah. So, yeah, that's my answer to that question. But let me know in the comments, do you have any desire to see Rousey, Carano? Do you have any desire to watch Mayweather, Pacquiao? I'm not interested in either one of those matchups.
I'm going to watch the Mayweather Pacquiao just to go against Floyd for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
Just because I want to see what happened. Pacquiao should have been spending the last however many years of his life, like, if I have one more chance, I got to do this. I want to see what that looks like from Pacquiao's side. But I'm not going to bet on it. There won't be any money on prize picks or anything like that because I know.
Yeah,
I'm not betting against Floyd.
I'm not betting on any of that either. I'm not even going to watch it. So.
And Pete, another thing about this, just real quick, what would look worse first on camera to like the viewer with someone that's coming back after a super long layoff?
What would look first?
What would look worse? Like what would the viewer be able to tell is if something wasn't right? Like
Well, again, depending on the athlete we're talking about and how much time they put into a training camp and getting in shape, their physical appearance, because you don't look at
Okay.
40 the way you looked at 25.
10-4. Okay.
And even certain athletes who are in really good shape, just the body don't always bounce back like it used to. People don't look the way they used to look. So physically, you can notice like, oh wow, that person put on a few pounds, But I think the first thing that you'll see is fatigue.
Okay.
When you're used to seeing this person, do 10 rounds and they're just, popping the. I think fatigue. I think that'll be the first thing that will visibly, other than physical appearance, like if somebody comes in a little heavier than they used to, fatigue.
Okay.
Just running out of gas way sooner than you remember them running out of